important role in person's life, career, developments and achievements. It's that special element in human beings which often decides between success and failure and separates winners from losers. Personality is perhaps one of the most difficult words in the English language to define precisely and accurately. Many think personality is all about wearing good clothing. Some attribute it to good manners and etiquettes, while still others attribute it to build, height, whereas some still attribute it to moral and ethical values. The factors can be divided into two factors, internal and external. The internal factors are courage, kindness, leadership, modesty, positive thinking, honesty, truthfulness, etc., etc. And the external factors are build, height, weight, etc. Second, gait. Gait is the style of walking. Third is dressing and grooming. Fourth is conversation, communication. And the fifth is manners and etiquettes. Manners are a way in which a certain thing is done, or do you do a certain thing. The moment you add S to manners, the resultant word is manners, which is altogether different. Whereas manners is concerned with the way you handle yourself, manners is concerned with the way you handle yourself with others. Etiquettes, on the other hand, are formal rules of correct and polite behavior in a society. It's a step ahead of manners because these have been evolved over some time in a society. Now let's look about, in a corporate world, how do we use our manners and etiquettes. When you introduce somebody, always introduce person by his full name. Don't mispronounce his name. If in doubt, ask politely or in an apologetic way, but introduce the person by his full name with the correct pronunciation. When you are introducing somebody or you are being introduced to somebody, always stand up when you are being introduced and look into the eyes of the person. The protocols of introduction are: men are introduced to women, juniors to seniors, youngsters to elders, single to married. When you are introducing a couple, always introduce the lady first. Let me tell you some goofs in introduction, what happens. Like suppose if I walk up, "Hi Vinay, how do you do?"
"I'm good, thank you."
Is that correct? No. This was not an inquiry into your health and wealth. The right answer would be, "Very well." The right answer would be, "How do you do? Pleased to meet you." Well, let's have again, retake. "How are you?"
"Pleased to meet you."
No! This is an inquiry into your health and you can answer it, "Very well, thank you." I was the other day at a party and I noticed the following goofs in introduction. A lady came up and said, "Meet my gentleman husband." A gentleman said, "Meet my lady wife." An employee working said, "Meet my Mrs. Boss." So these are some of the goofs in introduction. In my life, I was always into facilities management. So I used to run a lot of errands for my company, picking up guests, dropping them up. So let me tell you some of the scenarios over here, what happens when you pick up guests and all. Whenever you pick up a VIP and you are with the driver, where does the VIP sit? The VIP always sits on the rear side. He's the first to get enter, he's the first to leave. And where do you sit? You sit next to him. Next to the VIP, not in the front. When you are a couple and you are picking up a couple, what do? You move to the front and you ask the couple to share the seat with your wife. When you are single, what do? You move to the front. You move to the front and let the couple sit behind. But however, if they insist, you can sit behind with them. Let me tell you a funny incident which happened in my life. It was the 31st of December and I was celebrating in a hotel. My boss, I didn't have a car those days and my boss had to drop me out. So he was with his wife, me, myself, we were in the car. And he asked me to come and sit in the front because his wife refused to sit in the front. He said, no, you're drunk. I won't sit down with you. So she sat down behind. And when my house came, I got down. And now the lady wanted to come and sit in the front. So she got down. But my boss didn't realize and he sped away. And I was stranded with a beautiful my boss's wife. And those days there were no mobile phones. So I couldn't call him back. When he reached his house after 1 hour, he was shocked to see his wife. So you can run your imaginations wide what happened later. Now let me take you to a fine 5-star dining restaurant. Let's say the Wasabi at Taj, Bombay, where a couple of weeks back, Saif Ali Khan bashed up a South African businessman. So let's learn some dining etiquettes from Saif Ali Khan and the South African. Always choose a restaurant according to your mood. If you want to enjoy a private conversation, choose a 5-star ambience where nobody disturbs you. So let's walk into the Wasabi and see how do we enjoy our dining etiquettes. As soon as you sit down, always remember you have to be dressed very well when you go out for CEO functions for dining. And these are some of the corporate dining suits. In a corporate sector, you always dress up in a lounge suit. And a lounge suit is specifically black or blue. In India, people do use other shades, but in the East Coast, it's always black or blue with a white shirt. That's a lounge suit. So when you enter a restaurant, always see that you are properly dressed, always on time. Book a restaurant, book a table in advance, and tell the management you want to enjoy a quiet meal. So if there are some boisterous people who are going to disturb you, they can be put on the other side. The moment you sit down, unfold this. What is this? Napkin. I would call it a serviette always. Don't call it a napkin, for obvious reasons. And where do we place this? Lap, yes. And what do I do when I stand up? Always whenever a lady joins you or goes away from the table, please greet her. Stand up when a lady joins you. And the first thing, what will you start eating is bread butter. Take your bread roll, take your breadstick, take a butter, put it on your side plate. This is your side plate, by the way. This is your full plate. Okay? And how do you eat your bread and butter? I always find people that's a wrong one. Pick up the bread and will you eat it this way? No, don't eat it like idli dosa. Take a knife, put your butter, enjoy your bread butter. But never speak with something in your mouth. We all are Toastmasters. We speak very loudly because we are talking to a big group of people. But when you are in a restaurant, and you are speaking with people in front of you, don't disturb her. People seated next to you. And never shout at the waiters or the manager, even when something goes wrong. Some of the don'ts are, I always find some people calling the waiter, hello. Wrong. That's not the way to call the waiter. Moving ahead. What's the first course of the meal? Soup. May I have my soup, please? Thank you. Bring yourself closer to your soup bowl. Always, never bend yourself. Always bring food to your mouth. Not your mouth to you. And always when you're having your soup, it's preferable you take your soup in this direction. Okay? In this way you won't be spilling yourself. After you finish your soup, the next course of meal is your fish. And with the fish, the accompaniment is white wine. This is your fish knife. This is your fork. Enjoy your meal. Fork is always on the left. Knife is on your right. After some time, you can leave it on the side. However, when finished, always leave it in a 6:30 position. In some other places, they put it on 4:20 position, but the correct rule is 6:30 position. Moving ahead, the next course is red meat, lamb, and with lamb, you are served red wine. Well, how do you have your white wine? Just sip it up. Don't drink it at once, just sip it out. Enjoy your wine. And always remember, you've been invited not to come and eat a lot in the restaurant, especially when it's a corporate dinner. Have something in your house so that you don't overeat in your restaurant. And always remember, a gentleman never drinks more than one hard drink. Never get drunk in the restaurant. Always one is the minimum and maximum. With the red lamp, you will be served red wine. And this is the goblet for red wine. Well, this is the red wine. And how do we drink the red wine? Red wine is supposed, there's no oxygen supposed to be in red wine. And red wine is supposed to be had at room temperature. But it's a European room temperature. So before you drink, you can put the red wine 15 minutes, 20 minutes in your refrigerator. It has to be had at European temperature. And before you start drinking your red wine, you have to mix in some oxygen into it. Swirl it round. Yes. Now the oxygen has gone. Now you drink your red wine. If somebody is disturbing you, always politely tell the manager. Most them by the manager. Before I leave, where do we put this now? Serviette. Suppose if you have to go to the restroom and all, leave your serviette on your chair, so the waiter knows you are going to come back. But when you have finished the meal, you always leave it on your side table. Normally in any corporate dining, we always raise a toast. And before raising a toast, this is how to draw the attention of everybody, because everybody is enjoying their company. Now may I request my valedictor Sanjay Hasa, would you like to raise a toast for me, Sanjay?
Mohan Punjabi, my good friend, thank you for the wonderful speech. I know that you have going to set up your finishing school. So I wish you all the very best in your success from this finishing school. I raise this toast to you. All the very best.
Thank you, Sanjay. So please, when you raise a toast, all you do. And once he raises a toast for you, it's your duty also to raise a toast for him.